Hello, everyone, and welcome to the ConnectWise RMM training. My name is Jonathan Trinkley. I'm a senior onboarding specialist over here at ConnectWise, and I'm going to be taking you through the training today, which we're going to be covering the functions and features of the RMM platform. If you have any questions, please put those into the chat, and we'll get those answered towards the end of the meeting today. The agenda which we're going to be covering today, we're going to be going through automation scripting, talking about alerting and monitoring, how you can create custom monitors, alert suspension, custom fields, and reporting. So what we're going to do is start by talking about automation scripting. So automation scripting, or just tasks along the left side, automation and tasks, this is where you can run actions against machines. Inside of the automation task section, this is where you'll see all the different task templates that we have available. So all those listed here. We could filter by task on the right side. So we can filter by category. We could filter by who created them or when they were created. Now, these task templates, these are the bones or skeletons, if you will, of the task. It outlines the task for you. It just needs you to enter some parameters or criteria to create the task itself. So we're going to go through some of these today, show you guys how to create different tasks. We're going to start with a pretty basic one. Let's start with clearing the event log. Pretty basic. We're going to run this one here, clear event log updated. On the right side, we're going to click on the duplicate event log task. So on the right here, this is going to be specific to each, these parameters on the right side are going to be specific to each task that you want to run. This one here, I'm clearing the event log. So it's going to ask me which event log do I want to clear. So I simply fill out those parameters on the right side. I can give this a name on the left side to make it unique. And then top left, we're going to go ahead and select save and run. And when we do so, it's then going to ask us on the right side to set a schedule on which we want this to run. So I can plug in a start and end date. I can click run now if I want this to just run immediately. We can go ahead and add a trigger, and you'll see the different list of triggers here. If you would like to schedule this to run on a recurring schedule, you can go ahead and click on the repeat and add in a repeat on when you want this to run. And then at the very bottom is where you would select the site or specific machines that you want this to run on. So we'd select an individual site or multiple sites. On the right side, if we expand, here's where we can see the individual machines that we can run this on as well. Once we have this selected, we then click run top left, and it's going to go ahead and run based upon the schedule that we set on the right side. Now that was just one example of a script that we can run. Another example is a basic one here to, let's say we want to restart a service. So let's go ahead and plug in service. And when I type in service, you'll see it populates here. Let's go ahead and run this on the right side by clicking the duplicate button again. And then again, on the right side is going to be specific to each task that you want to run. So this is going to ask us to plug in a service name. Now this will tie into something we're going to talk about in a few moments. So let's type in the print spooler service. Let's go ahead and type in spooler. Action, you can see you can have the options here to start, stop, or restart. Let's go ahead and click start. And then mode, I'm going to set this to automatic. Again, top left, we click save and run. Apologies, let me give this a unique name. And then click save and run. And then on the right side, again, we're going to give it a date on when we want it to run, or if we wanted to run it now. And then select which sites or machines we wanted this to run against on as well. Top left, click on run, and it's going to go ahead and run that based upon this schedule. So again, just some basic tasks. You'll want to give you guys some examples of what you can run. Now, if we go back to tasks, these again are the full list of tasks that we have available. Sometimes there's going to be tasks that we don't have available or created for you by default. That's where you can click, come to the top and click add. And you can create your own scripting using bash, batch, or PowerShell. Now, if you do this, if you create, let's say, a PowerShell script, you will need to know the exact syntax on which you want to create. So you'll give it a name, plug it into a category of scripting, and the right side, you plug in the syntax on which you want to run this PowerShell script. Once you've completed this, top left, click save and run. You would select your schedule on which you want it to run, and then what machines you want it to run on. Now going back to the task section, clicking add, there's also an option here for script editor. Script editor is essentially how you can add logic behind the scripts that you want to run. So by going to script editor, we click add row. First, we're going to add a function, which is a script. What do we want to run first? Well, let's run something basic. Let's do a simple maintenance task. Let's say we wanted to run a defrag. Pretty basic here. So defrag drive, select which drive we want to run this on. And then this is where we can add in the logic. By clicking add logic, we can add if then or if then else statements. So let's go ahead and add an if then else type of statement. So we're running the defrag drive task. If the output from that task is successful, then we want to run a different task. Maybe we want to run another maintenance task, for example. Let's go back to that clear event log, something basic. But if the task fails, if the defrag drive is not successful, so that would go down to this else statement, then we're going to have it add a row. And let's say we want to run a check disk. So what we've done here is that we essentially started at the top with running a defrag drive script. If that script is successful, if that is successful to run the defrag drive, then it's going to go ahead and run this. Else, if it's not successful, it's going to go ahead and run a check disk on that drive. And then once we have the completed, top left, we select save. So again, the script editor is where you can add logic behind which scripts you want to run. Now, if we go to schedule task on the left side, schedule task is where you can see the status of any tasks that have either run in the past, currently running, or scheduled to run in the future. Here's where you can see the status. So status, we can see when it was last run, what we have it set to run on. If we click on the task itself, it's going to give us the information on when this was scheduled. So here's the schedule on when it was run. We go to history, we can see when the last time it was run. The information about that on the right side here. Now, what we can also do is run tasks from the devices and computers section. So you can run the task from automation and tasks. That's where we've been talking about for the last few moments. But if we go into devices and computers, you could also run tasks from here as well. So inside of devices and computers, top left, we click run. Here are those different categories of tasks available. If we go to maintenance, for example, you will see on the right side here, clear event log. So here's that task that I had run a few moments ago. This is going to ask me to select which site or specific machines I want this to run on. This is going to be where it's specific, the parameters are specific to the individual task. We click continue scheduling. We then select which schedule we want this to run on and click run task at the bottom. So running a task from devices and computers will accomplish the same exact thing as running it from automation a task. It's a different step-by-step process, however, on running that task. If you run the task from the devices and computer section, on the far right side, you're going to have this option for recent tasks, where you can see the output of any tasks that have recently run. And that is scripting and task and how to run tasks from the RMM portal. Now, the next section that we want to segue into is along the left side. Under alert management, we want to talk about Intellimon alerts. So intelligent monitoring, or Intellimon for short, these are the alerts that are packaged in by default. So you'll see with this version of RMM, there's roughly almost about 400 alerts. If you recall, with this version of RMM, you're not getting knock support for server issues, however, meaning that the knock is not logging in and fixing issues for you. When these alerts are generated, they're creating tickets that are going to be sent over directly to your team. Now, just to clear a couple things up here, you'll see roughly about 400 alerts here. Not every single alert creates a ticket, so it's not always a true one-to-one scenario. It is true that certain alerts do create certain tickets. That is true, but not every single alert creates tickets. Sometimes there needs to be conditions present for the alerts to be generated, or excuse me, for the tickets to be created. So you'll see all these different alerts here. Now, again, these alerts, when if tickets are generated, they're going to be sent over directly to your team for support. What we can do here is add in automation if you didn't want to manually have to resolve some of these issues. For example, one of these that I'm going to go ahead and pull up here is that print spooler service. So if you remember, we created that task a few moments ago to restart the print spooler service. The alert that's being monitored here is that the print spooler service is not in a running state. So by clicking on that task, or excuse me, by clicking on that alert, it's going to give us a description of the alert. And then on the right side, we can add in automation. So without automation, if this ticket is generated, it's going to be sent over to your team for support. We can click add automation. And because I created that script in the scripting section, here's that task to restart the print spooler service. I'm going to go ahead and select that and add that to this automation so that if this ticket is created that the print spooler is not in a running state, it's automatically going to go ahead and trigger this task to restart that print spooler service. This way, my team isn't going to have to manually log into the machine and restart that service. The automation in this alert is going to go ahead and take care of that for us. And again, that was just one example of an alert and some type of automation that you can add. If we go back to IntelliMon alerts along the left, again, here are those different alerts that we were talking about. You'll see the different severities on the right side. This goes back to the notification rule that we spoke about on our last meeting. Critical impact, critical non-impact alerts that you can see listed here. We could filter on the right side to see the severity, alert family, or if the alerts are configurable. Now, additionally, on the left side, we have the monitors section. So the IntelliMon alerts, those are the alerts that are packaged in by default. There are going to be some alerts, however, that we don't monitor for by default that you need to monitor for or want to monitor for. Think line of business applications. So if we come into monitors and we click add monitor at the top, we give this a name. We select which type of alert we want to generate. So let's go ahead and do a service. You can see the different ones: event log, process, memory, application. Let's go ahead and run a service monitor. We can go ahead and generate this or categorize this into a specific family of alerts. So let's go ahead and just plug this into, I'm going to do a security alert. And then severity. This is important because that goes off of that notification rule. So the NOC knows how, when, and who to contact on your team when this alert is generated. And then on the right side, we're going to go ahead and plug in the conditions. So we're going to start by selecting which service we want monitored. We can click view all services. Now we can search at the top. We can scroll through here and find the service that we want monitored. Now this is going to pull the service from every machine that you have the agent installed on. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to simply search for Sentinel. I have the Sentinel-1 agent installed on my machine. I want to know if that service stops. So I'm going to monitor for the Sentinel agent. So the condition I'm monitoring for, the service Sentinel agent is in a stopped state. That's what I'm monitoring for. Now what is selected by default is to automatically start that service when it's stopped, as well as automatically resolving the ticket when that service is back up in a running state. So what we've done here is that the condition is that we're monitoring for Sentinel-1 service. If it's in a stop state, the ticket's going to be created. With this checkbox selected, it's automatically going to go ahead and restart that service. And then it's automatically going to go ahead and close and resolve that ticket as well. At the bottom is where you would select the individual sites or specific machines that you want this applied to, and then select Save top left. Again, that very basic example of a custom monitor. You can see the different types of monitors you can set along the left side. You have, for example, event log. If we wanted to monitor for a certain event log, we would plug in the information on the right side here, event log, IDS. See the additional information on the right side, and then hit save as well. Now you'll also see a suspension section list over here on the left. There may be times where you need to suspend alerts, whether it's because you're taking a machine offline for maintenance reasons or there's an alert that gets generated that your team just doesn't want to know about. You can suspend alerting. To do so, we go to suspension, click add rule at the top. You can suspend alerts for either your custom monitors or those default IntelliMon alerts. And then on the right side, we're going to select which machines we want this applied to. Set the schedule on which we want this suspended. So let's say that I'm taking my client's server offline tonight. Let's say I'm taking offline at 6 o'clock. So maybe I want to stop the monitoring at, let's say, 5:30. So let's go and stop at 5:30. And then you'll see the end time. Let's go ahead and bring this back up at, let's say the server should be back online by 10 o'clock. So what I've done here is that for today, I've suspended the alerts between 5:30 and 10. After 10 o'clock, the alerts will be turned back on and it'll continue monitoring for those alerts. Now, if this was an alert that you just wanted turned off indefinitely, we click the at drop-down menu here and we would select never. This would then turn off the alert indefinitely until you manually come in and delete or disable this suspension rule. And then at the bottom is where we would select what alerts we do want suspended. So we can do all, we can do individual families of alerts, or we can expand and click on individual alerts themselves. Once we have this information completed, top left, select save. Now we can also suspend alerts from the IntelliMon alerts and monitors section. If we're already inside of IntelliMon alerts and I'm scrolling through here and looking at these alerts, maybe I see a specific alert that I just don't want to know about. I click on the alert itself and click on suspension rule at the top to create that suspension rule. I can again also do that from the custom monitor section along the left. You'll see suspension rule at the top. Now let's go ahead and segue on the left side here to settings and custom fields. So custom fields, the RMM agent collects a tremendous amount of data from the machine, data that you can see inside of the devices and computers page. However, there's going to be some times where you need to track or get information about a machine that we don't collect. So what we can do with that is create a custom field so you can track manually information that you're looking for. So to create a custom field, we click add at the top, and on the right side, we complete this little form. The name that we want to give this, what type of custom field, text box, flag, drop picker, or date picker, or excuse me, drop down or date picker. The level is just endpoint, a description, and then is this field editable? Yes or no. That's how you create it. Once that's completed, top left, click add. Now I've already created one. You'll see one here that's called needs replaced. And let's go through this example one here because I put myself in your shoes as the MSP and I created a scenario that I thought would work well here. So the scenario that I thought of is that I have a client that needs to replace some of their machines. And I've tasked two of my technicians with doing so. The first technician is going to go ahead and identify what machines need to be replaced. The second technician is going to be the one doing the actual replacing of the machines. So first we put ourselves in the shoes of that first technician, the one that is trying to determine what machines need to be replaced. Now, as that person, I'm going through reports, I'm going through the portal, viewing the machines, seeing what machines need to be replaced. Once I determine what machines need to be replaced, I'm going to go ahead and use this custom field to flag those machines. So we created this field, needs replaced. I created this as a flag, which is just a yes or no statement. And then what we can do from this is go to devices and computers on the left side. We're going to go into our each machine. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my machine here. And on the right side, we're going to see custom fields. And here is that field that I created, needs replaced. Now this field is editable on a per machine basis. You cannot edit more than one machine at a time. So we need to come into each machine to edit this. So I've done my job, as that technician that's tasked with determining what machines need to be replaced. I've determined this machine needs to be replaced here. Coming into custom fields, I would then edit this field and say, yes, the machine does need to be replaced and select save. That's my job. As the first technician, I'm going through and identifying what machines need to be replaced and flagging those machines. Now let's go ahead and flip the script here and put ourselves in the shoes of the other technician that needs to identify what machines that person flagged. So we're going to go ahead and create a device group based upon that custom field or that field that we created there. So we're going to navigate to device groups along the left and click add at the top, click a dynamic group, and then we give the group a name on the left and add criteria along the right side. The criteria that we're going to look for is the needs replaced custom field that we created. Inside of here, needs replaced equals true or false, yes or no. So top right, you will see devices meeting criteria is 0. If I click true, you will see that will then refresh and show me that machine that we had flagged as needing replaced. So once we have created this dynamic group, on the left side, we go to computers, and then we apply that filter on the right side for device groups. And I'm going to apply the needs replaced filter here. And when I do so, here is that machine that needs to be replaced. So it makes it very simple. Again, we have, that scenario was two technicians. One identified what machines need to be replaced and flagged those machines. The other technician went ahead and, create a device group based upon that field, and then was able to determine or see what machines were flagged as needing replaced. So a very basic example there of a custom field and how you can use that to filter machines. Now, the next section that we want to talk about is reporting. On the left side, we see reports and we see bright gauge. Now, we'll talk about bright gauge in just a moment, but we're going to go ahead and go into reports. Inside of reports, you will see two categories of reports, executive as well as detailed. Executive reports are monthly reports that are generated for you the first week of each month, and they provide value to your clients to show your clients what you're doing for them. Now we're going to go ahead and click on Manage Templates. And clicking on Manage Templates, this will show us the default ones. Now these are automatically generated into our portal, but we can set up automatic email at the top. And doing so, we plug in our add recipients, and then make sure we check the box at the bottom to attach report as PDF and click Save. Now, giving you an example of what the default report looks like. This is what an executive summary report will look like. It's going to start with a cover page. You'll see that information listed here, an overall score of the portal, a summary of what you've done for them during that month, tickets open and closed, patches installed, machines managed, so desktop and servers. And then we start getting into server and desktop operating system information. So server OSs by number of machines, availability, utilization. We see patching information. And then as we start scrolling down, we get additional desktop information as well. Now, these reports are customizable to the extent of if there's information that you're looking for that's not here by default, we can add that along the left side. You'll see the different categories that we can add. We can also remove charts and graphs here that might be here by default by clicking on the X's top right corner to remove those. So if there's information that you're looking for that's not there by default, you can add to it. If there's information that is there by default you don't want to see, you can remove it. So those are the executive reports. Again, automatically generated for you the first week of each month. Now you also have detailed reports. Now these reports are manual on-demand reports that you would run at a point in time. Under agents, there's the agent report to show you what machines have the agents installed and when they were installed. This report here, No Contact Desktop, is a report that I recommend every partner runs at least once a month for cleanup purposes. If we go down to technical details, here are some technical reports such as installed software report, installed software change report. If you want to see what users were installing or uninstalling software in a given time period, you can run that report there. The system information report, that's going to pull this type of information: OS, system types, serial numbers, BIOS information. Now, think about running them from here. If you run this report here, system information report, this is going to pull the reporting for every site and machine that you have the agent installed on. Now, from there, you could filter by client site, or you could export and filter as well. But if you're looking for machine-specific information, that's where we're navigating on the left side to devices and into computers. Inside of devices and computers, we're going to go ahead and click on a machine name. And by clicking on the machine name, we're going to get information specifically for this machine. So I can see specs listed along the left side here. We can see performance information on the right. If we go to the top, we can see applications installed. We could get an inventory of the machine, see processes and services running. Top right corner, I can go ahead and click on download and export this from the portal here. So for site-wide or portal-wide information, we would go to the reports tab for this type of info. For machine-specific information, we come into devices and computers. We can click onto each machine to get that information. Now, if we look on the left side, we go to the bright gauge tab. If you have not done so already, please go ahead and click on the breakage tab. The first time you click on that, it's going to provision it for you, and it can take a couple hours, about 2 to 3 hours, the first time to provision it. After you go in the first time, the subsequent times you go in, it'll be instant like you saw in my portal here. But that first time that you go in, it could take a little while to provision the breakage setup for you. Now inside of breakage, we go to reports at the top, and here are the different reportings that are available through breakage at this time. Installed software, warranty report, here is the executive report. Now, most of the reports that we just talked about inside of the reports section back in this portal, those reports are going to be brought over to breakage in time. As it stands today, you'll see about 6 of those reports listed here, such as that executive report. Inside of the executive report, inside of breakage, it's going to give you this type of information. Server and workstation scores, an overall score, how many machines we're managing, machines with potential performance issues. And then on the left side, you can see the different gauges that you can add as well. So I can go ahead and add that one there, or I can add that one or remove certain other ones that we might not want to see. All right, everyone. So wrapping up here, I want to mention patching just for a moment. So patching is available through RMM. It is a feature. However, it's not recommended that you turn it on or enable it at this time to avoid issues with the automate patching. Since you're running automate as well, it's recommended you do not set up RMM patching, so we don't want the two systems conflicting over which your system is trying to install the patches. So if you wanted to, you could enable patching by navigating on the left side. You would create a policy first, go into policy and create a policy first. Once a patch policy has been created, you would then navigate into packages. You would assign a policy to a package. You would then assign a package to a site. And then you will see OS patching along the left side where you can review patches and block or approve patches as well. So again, patching is available through RMM. It's just recommended at this time that you do not enable it to avoid issues with conflicting with the automate system. All right, everyone, that's really everything that we wanted to cover for today. Again, we went through automation scripting, the default IntelliMon alerts, custom monitoring, alert suspension, custom fields, and reporting. If you have any questions after today's meeting, please reach out to your Partner Success Manager or to partnersuccess@connectwise.com. Thank you, everyone, for your time, and have a great day.